There we go. Nice. Walking through. There we go. Bang! This might be when are we going to cams? Okay. That means I've got a quick bathroom in me. Hi there, this is Owen testing his microphone on a wonderful sunny day in the south of Mexico. Hello!
Yeah, I've
This
been
is Owen
told that.
testing his voice on multiple different platforms. Right. Jonah, would you like me to create the lobby? No problem.
Jonah, are you taking audio through Discord or via Ninja? How are we going to be? Okay. Okay. Owen, what is our first series?
Well, we've got an awkward choice of not very good games for the first one. So Mustangs versus Tornadoes would be a wipe. Tornadoes are about C1. Kestrels, Sparrowhawks. So Kestrels are C2. That's JDN's team. Sparrowhawks are also Army. They're C7. Sparrowhawks are roughly C3, give or take. Harriers, Hammerheads is another option. So Hammerheads are the bottom Navy team plus a sub. And then Harriers are floating around C2. I reckon that's probably the best game, if I'm being honest. So RAF Harriers versus Royal Navy Hammerheads. Royal Navy Serpents versus Merlins. So Serpents are... Ooh, let's have a look. Struggling. They've got a sub today, so that's a no-go. Storm Shadows, Jackdaws, that's a no-go. So I think Harriers, Hammerheads for the first one. So I'm going to reach out to Charlie Sierra.
Do you have a link to live brackets?
Yes, I do. Sending it in the chat now. However, I am adjusting round timings because it rendered out very strangely.
Okay.
Here's the link. It's in the Rocket League chat.
Amazing, thank you.
Apparently, my audio is coming through the Twitch stream, Jonah, just so you're aware. Hello, stream. Hope you're keeping well. You join us as I am not live, but coming through the Twitch stream.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, of course, to the Pro League itself here at BFBS Season 2. Well, we're already at the halfway point in terms of the open qualifier. And you know what? It's good to be back. But you know who will be certainly licking his lips here? And you know what? Feast on this fabulous meal. Pegasus, welcome back. How are you doing?
Really, really good. I'm so happy to be here back on the BFBS stream. I did actually have a chance to get involved with that first qualifier during the Swiss stage, but now I get to see a bit more of a talent pool in a brutal group stage best-of-3 format.
Well, we certainly do. I mean, last season we sat here and saw various different qualifiers, different formats, different ways how things come about. Now a lot more stream, a lot more tighter. But before we even look at it, you know, the scene going into this the evening, Pegasus, I mean, quite a lot open in terms of, I mean, quite literally we're talking about the midfield in terms of the brackets. So where do you want to start the conversation here? Because there's a few teams we can sit here and talk ours about quite comfortably.
I mean, we could talk about teams, so why not talk about the groups as a whole? There's one less, of course, in Group B. That's going to give teams buys heading into this tournament as well. But Group A is big in numbers, it's big in talent as well. It's not the same Storm Shadows that, of course, we used to know that previously being the premier name for the RAF sides. However, that talent that still remains on that team is still to be feared. You're talking about G-Wood, you're talking about Semmers, you've got Action and Reedy also rounding out that roster. Any combination of that four is going to cause a lot of issues for the rest of that group.
Well, it certainly is. I mean, there's a fair bit of heavy, hefting sort of names here. And the fact of, you know, the Storm Shadows by name, you'll be confused, of course, by that, you know, being the #1 side of all here. But it's not the RAF side that we'll be sitting here kicking tonight's action, of course, Pegasus. It'd be, you know, a bit more of the unknown factor if you haven't been part of their community. Quite literally, a new name in their ranks, so to speak, in terms of the last 6 to 8 months as well. The Harriers coming onto the pitch. I mean, they have tasted BFBS before, but for them, what do you think the expectation is going into this evening?
Well, it's a tough group, like I said, with all of that talent that is sprinkled in. But I do believe they are going to be able to show themselves off in this group. Of course, they are going to be playing the Hammerheads in that first outcome. That's going to be the matchup that we're going to be following for this first series. You need to hit the ground running. You need to do well from the very, very start. And I believe that they do have that about them. They are the advantage team when you're looking at the seeding. And of course, historically, the RAF never tend to bring forward a team that isn't competitive.
No, they haven't. I think they actually marginally outdo the British Army by 2 points if you just take the collective teams overall. But, you know, there's no such thing as collective in that regard. That they want to win everything they can do. Of course, the previous inter-service champions belong to them. The most BFBS qualifiers belong to the RAF. So quite a lot of that is on their side of things. But the Royal Navy, they are the side with a bit of required of improvement, to be polite here, Pegasus. They did get to the inter-service top 4, slightly fell away here on the last qualifier here. For them, surely a top 8 is a must here.
It's a team where whenever I watch a Royal Navy roster, I always feel like that they've improved upon their last results. It just feels like that last little bit is constantly missing when it comes to this part of the service. Though Season 2, still in its pretty early days for the qualifier, there is some time for them to kick themselves into gear. But of course, those earlier starters will rack up those points much quicker. So that game of catch-up has to start now here in the open qualifiers for our first best-of-3 of the day.
Well, certainly, the difficulty is that element of it. One game and suddenly under pressure or a bit of ease. But as Stelios, as we've said many of times here, it's doing the job and finishing is going to be the most difficulty part about it here. Game number 1 here, underway, and Pegasus, the RAF already under pressure.
Yeah, but Prof has to get this touch out of defense. Taylor on that back foot corner already pounding along, and it is a bit of a grounded start to the day. But, like I said, with that best-of-3 format, we need to make sure that any improvements in the game come in early. Spen with a first high up attack. All three players stacked up on that goal line as well. It's looking a lot like the World Cup final. Shot off target, just wide.
Well, we can spend hours on that sort of topic as well, but I mean, if red cards was a thing, Pegasus, I mean, who would you want sent off here to make the advantage really count here?
Oh, well, no one to be shown yet. Nothing too physical. Instead, it's magic from deep from Spen, right at that halfway line. Gets himself involved in his first ever attack. And, well, that's quite the impact from the Harrier.
Well, it's massive for them. And the Royal Navy will be looking to get something onto the board here relatively quick as well. Don't want to concede too soon as well. But, I mean, going quite through the ranks here and, you know, I don't want to make it, you know, RAF here, but there is one player in particular that, for me here, will make or break here the Hires campaign, at least for potentially, you know, getting to a top 8 spot. And that's the Professor himself here. Mechanically quite strong. We've seen him in a few of the show matches over in the RAF community. And to me, it's one of those ones is, when is he going to blossom? It's that type of player.
Well, it's the students trying to become that master, giving themselves that title as a little bit of motivation, though so far it's been their players alongside that I've really been impressed by in the early stages of this game. Rotation is clean, the spacing is good, the touches might not be there though, and that defense still ends up being gifted a ball. It's Connor off that back wall who can't generate the power, so Hammerheads still managed to breeze this off into safety.
Well, a nice soft touch here, not ideal, and pokes and prods here, trying to get away defensively. They've done an okay job here in William. Well, he has launched it right through. In those situations, you just want to sort of nestle the ball as much as you can and, you know, hold possession, especially when you went down quite early in the opening game.
Oh, that's another wide shot. Maka wants to try and find anything across. Unfortunately, it's just a sea of blue still clamping down on this pressure. It's been a shotless half so far from the Hammerheads, and the Harriers look like they might just double up. Save from William. Connor from the outside feels his impact from third and doubles up for the RAF.
Yeah, to give full credit to the RAF 1-2 in the terms of the setup. Everything on point here, and defensively for the Royal Navy will be a tad bit awkward there. But 2-0 for the Harriers. More importantly, you know, you can, don't want to say take your foot off the gas here. You'd be foolish to do so here as the shot rattles up the top side of it. Could have been 2-1 from kickoff. Will be punished on the other end of it. And I thought somebody was going to steal that.
Yeah, I thought so as well. No progressive accolades on the line, unfortunately. But I'll certainly take a third goal. What they call a team ace as well, in your Valorants and your CSs, but that's not what the action's all about tonight. So I noticed there was a bit of energy from Hammerheads after that second goal, but you don't want to drink your coffee too fast.
Well, that would be the League of Legends equivalent of it then, Pegasus.
Ah, of course, of course. I saw some people tuning into the action last night. Unfortunately, I couldn't follow, but looked like a whale of a time.
Well, certainly so. And Joe Watts here, what I actually found out, one of the fellow co-casters over there, also a fellow science teacher.
What science was it though, Danny? I know that can get pretty particular.
Well, I don't want to name the person behind the scenes, but refused to tell me here, so it must be biology.
Biology. Yeah, there you go. I mean, you just always expect it. And this so far in this game though, Spen has had a lot of chemistry with his teammates. Fourth goal to the good for the Harriers. And Hammerheads still waiting to get a real involvement in the offensive half. Oftentimes, Danny, we're seeing all three players bunch up on that goal line, and it's so much space given to the Harriers. You think about corners as being a safe territory in most matchups, but this time, so much space has been given to the Harriers. I don't really believe that that's been the case this time.
No, but it's that sort of cruel element of it, and as you sat there and said, the corners is the safety net. There's no such thing as a safety net, especially when you're playing with pace, as you rightly know. 1-2 in terms of quick movement here, anything you know above 90 kbh here, you're talking about threats on target. And 5-0 to the goods. I mean, for the opening game here, via the Harriers' point of view, surely be enjoying, the sort of the spectacle. Perfect game to get the campaign going tonight.
Yeah, and the RAF will be cheering on this team as well. So much talent, but of course, part of that aim is going to be seeing how many RAF teams they can get to those main events, into those top spots, and then it can get a little bit personal deeper down the line. But for now, camps are all happy. Second and third man positioning, again, has just been so crucial to the success of the Harriers, but sometimes a little bit of a sprinkle of the chaos of a few missed touches can assist their way as well.
Sprinkle? That was pouring.
Not wrong. You're not wrong. Spen put a meow in chat as well. I feel like that's not quite the fear factor they've been looking for. They're playing like tigers, but clearly...
all right, give us the scariest meow you can then, Pegasus.
Oh, goodness gracious. I don't think anyone wants to hear that.
Oh, no, we all do.
You know what? We'll give them a name. If they get to double digits, I'll give you a meow afterwards. How about that? I've noticed now it's actually because they're using the cat goal explosion, which honestly, we should have noticed by now by the amount of times they have scored.
Well, at that point there, 7-0. It'd be a roar at this point here because there's just 1-2 quick goals here. And, you talk about decals and goal explosions. It's the wrong person, Pegasus. I don't care. I've literally got no decals selected on my car for the last, 2 years?
Look, that's the wise way to play it. So let all the gameplay do all the talking, and you don't need to empty those pockets. Prof's going for the psycho attempt. You could tell that one didn't quite have the power it needs to send the full areas of the pitch. Either way, they'll be happy to secure a very dominant opening win. Just one shot from the Hammerheads the entire time. And I want to say surprisingly, but after watching that game, not particularly, Danny, only 3 saves from the Hammerheads despite the onslaught.
Well, it certainly is here, and I'm not doing this because it's an excuse here. I mean, I had the privilege of actually talking to the Royal Navy sort of head leads in terms of, heading into the competition. And, the Royal Navy themselves here are shifting in terms of a lot more preparation structure and trying to build a lot more of the communities closer to, similar to how the RAF have been here. So the fact is their teams are fresh, they're new in comparison. So the fact that they're getting, hammered 7-0, hammered's the wrong word here, battle scarred. You have to have a few losses like that to realize that you're going, where is that mistake, or where do you get that opening here? And, just like this here, when you're playing 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds in a group stage, you will quickly learn where that mistake is and sharpen up here.
But they've already equaled the shots that they pulled off in the last game, and already you are seeing them step up a lot more at the fresh start of the second game. Connor from outside the box grabs the first goal for the Harriers as well. Complete mental reset. It's evident in the gameplay as well.
I did enjoy the pinch. Perfectly across here, right height as well too. I wanted to say like tennis as well, because it was on the volley as well. Just smashed it perfectly.
Yeah, not keeping it on target as well, so we can't say it's squashed. Connor, though, off the post, has the second in. It's Spent, who isn't able to reach it. Bit of a double commit heading into this corner as well. Tripping over each other's feet allows space for Prof to cut in on those corners. And we spoke about the dangers of those infield passes. Oftentimes, those whiffs are evident as well. The net's left open. But Connor, I don't think he was going for a pass there, but Spent hasn't been able to capitalize regardless.
That's a decent save originally. And Williams done his job and may continue to do so, but the second man actually far too close. What's actually the unusual bit, when you have a 50-60 boost comfortably, you can actually follow that with pace and, commit fully. Didn't do it this time around, and that's a setup and a half. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it's completely messed up by that first touch. Expected to go for the 50-50 there as soon as there were not 2 cars clashing. Just ends up bringing it right back into the area. And that's when you panic, that's when you hold down the boost button. You want to just try and keep it above the crossbar as much as you can. But Danny, this is an unlimited boost. Eventually what comes up must come down.
I trust you to bring in gravity.
What can I say? Physics students back in the day, but not anymore.
Sorry,
Bro.
back in the day? You're not old enough to use that.
Sorry. No, you're right. You're right. When do I get to earn those flowers? Prof drops down. That's a great pass over to Spen. All three players get involved with this one to triple up. 3 minutes still to go.
And back in the day, that type of pass and play was exactly what the RLCS was. Dropped it down, nice pass and play, and Silky into the top left. That's what you want to see. Ideally moved across here, and to answer your question, Pegasus, is usually when you have a sleepless night realizing you've got about 60 papers to mark.
Well, Professor's going to be giving that one a big green tick. The entire performance so far from the RAF has been worthy as such. Plenty of what went wells, not many EBIs. Spen into that right-hand side, picks up the fourth, and they're looking to beat that record they got in the first game in terms of goals scored.
You're a lot more generous on the marking than I am, Pegasus.
Come on, what have you got for them? Get out the red pen, the green pen even.
I don't mark in red, actually.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore. Seen a lot of red, seen a lot of purple in recent times. And I'm not sure what I'd write for these guys. I mean, they haven't been challenged all that much in this first series. Of course, the Royal Navy Hammerheads, I believe, were the lowest seed on this side of the group. Of course, they do have plenty of opportunity to get themselves into those spots that could lead to a Swiss stage. But so far, I am seeing just too much required from their gameplay to expect that. It would have to be a huge reset going into that second series, because for me, this first one already looks lost.
Well, it depends on your sort of point of view and coach and norm, like. And I think the old school away is usually sort of shut this one down here, but the thought process should be at least grab one goal. That should be the target. And it's we played competitions before at say grassroots level, and it's amazing how you remember that one opportunity when you do actually place at home. Never mind 5-6 goals to go against you. It's that one chance.
Just needs a flash of inspiration. Maybe it will come from these opponents. They'll take the notes afterwards and take everything that has been used against them for them next time. That's a nice little pre-flip coming from Spen. Not sure he expected it, though, to break away from those two defenders that stood at that front post. But there was that fine gap left, and it was completely pierced through. Chance for a first real opportunity from Hammerheads, but Spen lured them in, let them bite the bait, tried to take it forward. Instead, it drops down to Prof, will flick it high. There's been a demo at the goal line as well. That's a wonderful save from William, just to try and stop the bleeding.
Apparently so, and perhaps maybe the boffins in the background may be able to answer one of the stat questions here. I wonder what is the biggest goal difference across this game differential so far. I think last season in one individual game was a 12-goal difference by resurgence. So I don't know what Season 2 has that current record at. I'll just be intrigued to know if that number is rattling around somewhere.
I mean, it is already looking like it is past that point than we saw in the last season in a best-of-3, no less, which just goes to show how impressive this has been so far from the RAF. But Hammerheads, this is likely going to be one of their final memories from this series. And it's just like you said, Danny, you'll remember those goals you scored.
Certainly, and it's a decent one at that too. You slot that bottom lane past two defenders, so they know where the net is. They know that sort of thrill of it, and it's I may as well mention this here to get the second one. And I was watching one of arguably the world's greatest tennis players who's won multiple Grand Slams, and sat there and said, "I was nervous while playing my opponent because he beat me the year before." psychologically he was already gone before he'd done anything. If you can work out which tennis player that is, let me know here. I'll be somewhat surprised if you haven't worked it out. But apparently last season it was 17-1 was the biggest record. So I'll be looking forward to see what the stat is for this season so far.
Not exactly a tennis scoreline, but certainly a ping pong one between Omnia and Falcons. It's not quite living up to that stature. Hammerheads, though, managing to double up on the scoreline is what you want to see for the rest of their day. Connor will make it 7, but you reach a point where all the goals feel the same. It's those earlier ones where the game's still reachable that are more valuable, and I don't mind it from the Hammerheads. I want to see them just throw the play forward and just try and take something out of this series.
Well, if it was me, the one thing that I'd be sitting there sort of working on is that sort of big, powerful hits on the car, sort of the big old hoof downfield here. It's amazing, you know, it's sort of still in the sort of the factor within the sort of the top 10 seeds, why it's how useful that will be for them. But again, everything's a learning curve. Your losses are sometimes even greater than the wins. And for the RAF Harriers, it's a 14-2 in terms of aggregate goals, but more importantly, 2-0 clean sweep. So for them, it's business as usual.
Yeah, of course, and this is just what the RAF do. For them, they were the higher seeded team. They were actually one of the higher seeded teams in the entire group. So you are expected to win that first series, and with the range of talent in the scene as well, you are looking to do it in rather convincing fashion. For the Hammerheads, I'd be happy to say that even if that is a brutal aggregate to look at the total, you focus on those two. Those two happened in the last, minute and a half, 2 minutes. Those are the ones you can take forwards. Those are the momentum builders, and hopefully in their next schedule, they'll have a little bit of an easier ride, though there are still some more sharks in the water of this Group A.
Well, it certainly is, and we'll be sort of nation our way right through. But unfortunately, I hear that bit of gentle music coming from the background, so that potentially could be the break here.
Good enough can cost you the game, so stop settling. Wifinity is built for real life on base, so you can game without compromise. Posted somewhere new? Take your Wi-Fi with you, no hassle. Get fast, reliable Wi-Fi with Wifinity. Use code BFBS50 to get 50% off the first 3 months.
We're still a lot, yeah. I don't wanna breakthrough, what I wanna make do. Take two when I'm thinking of you. Sway loose when I'm sinking a booze. Two-way thinking of blue places that I'm gonna take you like. Breakthrough, what I wanna make do. Take two when I'm thinking of you. Sway loose when I'm sinking a booze. Two-way thinking of blue places that I'm gonna take you like. Corona and sick, too lit, tryna flow like frizz. I'm licked off in a rave, smoking. Last one in a place, she bass, she rolling hips. That man, I wanna flow like this. Gally wanna roll and twist. More time and I'm lean up, rolling. Lick, more time and I'm lean up, rolling. Late night is future, I'm tryna make mine. Dreaming up in the daytime, nice one in the downsides on the waistline. I want it now and I wanna take time. More debts, yeah, I gotta pay mine. Big than a 10-date night. Loud pack got me tryna take flight with you, be I'm feeling just right. Breakthrough, what I wanna make do. Take two when I'm thinking of you. Sway loose when I'm sinking a booze. Two-way thinking of blue places that I'm gonna take you like. Breakthrough, what I wanna make do. Take two when I'm thinking of you. Sway loose when I'm sinking a booze. Two-way thinking of blue places that I'm gonna take you like. Breakthrough, what I wanna make do. Take two when I'm thinking of you. Breakthrough, what I wanna make do like. Breakthrough, what I wanna make do. Take two when I'm thinking of you. Take two when I'm thinking of you. Yeah, bad vibes. Do one. Gally wanna give me brain on a futon. Give me two, bro, got one too strong. Watch the way that I slewed on. In a rave, tryna get a move on. New day, new song. Rich life, tryna get a new one. Gally wanna ooze on. In a bathroom with my shoes on. Like, which way you wanna go? Choose one. All day, everyone I prove wrong. Two gone in a stew, build up a new one. Like, man, I got that 2-ton rude one. Arabic lane one from Luton. Man, I bet a 16 with a loop. Long eyes so crumbling like a crouton. Tryna step in a place, 95 and the boot on. Too special, she don't wanna move on. Man, I give her the show like Truman. 2-ton, rude one. Arabic lane one from Luton. Man, I bet a 16 with a loop on. 95 and the boot on. It's that breakthrough, what I wanna make do. Take two when I'm thinking of you. Sway loose when I'm sinking a booze. Two-way thinking of blue places that I'm gonna take you like. Breakthrough, what I wanna make do. Take two when I'm thinking of you. Sway loose when I'm sinking a booze. Two-way thinking of blue places that I'm gonna take you like.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to, of course, the British... Well, I was going to say the British Pro League itself. It is BFBS Pro League Season 2. And do you know what here? I mean, we've been tipping and trumble, but do you know what here? I've been reading sort of the players' chat here, and I've never been more confused here because it's a lot of love, and it's really annoying me, Pig. Because you know me well enough here that before a match, I don't want any chatter between the teams. I don't want, oh, you're so good, you're so wonderful. No.
Yeah, we're going to war here. I mean, come on. It's a best of 3. It's a brutal format. There's a qualifier. There's got to be winners. There's got to be losers. And for both of these teams, they are coming off the back of losses. Unfortunately, we saw what happened over with the Royal Navy Hammerheads, but there are some... I wouldn't say new kids on the block, but that wouldn't exactly be factual. There's the British Army Jackdaws, which as a team name might be a little bit new. However, the talent here is a bit of a mixed match of familiar past talent. Dr. Grimm, formerly a Sparrowhawk sub. We've got Jonesy, a former Merlin sub. But now they've introduced Klaus to the roster as well for his debut on the broadcast.
Well, it certainly is. It's going to be interesting to see how it is. And there's going to be some point here I'm just going to sit down with an old sort of fashioned pen and paper and count how many different players we've over the years at this point said it's a debut cast for them. But I'm pretty sure we'll be getting the players quite into the lobby here, Pegasus. But we do at least have a free range here in terms of the, well, the Royal Navy Hammerheads once again back at it.
Yeah, this is going to be a big match to see how Hammerheads can respond to that last series. In theory, this is going to be a much easier matchup to try and take on. But of course, for Jackdaws, just getting a general look of their MMR ranges, still going to be a little bit of a challenge in comparison. There are, in terms of seeding, just one weaker team to the Jackdaws in comparison to the Hammerheads, and that is the Serpents right between them, the other Royal Navy team here in this first group. But you've just got to win against the teams that are ahead of you, and one win isn't going to be enough to qualify yourself to that Swiss stage either.
It certainly is, and there's going to be plenty of in this sort of group stage to see who will eventually get into that portion. But Pig, who's going to win it? Give me a prediction.
I know we're following the journey of the Hammerheads, and I feel like that means I should want to see that bit of character development, that twist in the tail where they rise up. But I'm very, very interested in this Jackdaws roster. It has a bit of a rising star idea surrounding it, just like how, you saw the likes of the Roma start to enter the scene. It was a bunch of substitutes all coming together, and they ended up improving so quickly in that time. That's what I want to see for the Jackdaws. Give me the Jackdaws. Are you going to bother for a prediction? It's very rare we see it. Is this going to be a first?
No.
Okay, well, I should have seen that one coming. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you can say your own predictions in chat, but let's stop the second series is underway.
Well, certainly into that regards here, we do see familiar faces, but it's that sort of question on the debutantes. How well will they go by? And do you know what? We might as well do it as well. There is a fellow caster onto the pitch as well, Pig.
Yeah, indeed. Klaus, you can see in the name, has cast right on the end of it, but isn't just decoration. I've actually had the pleasure of casting alongside him on a few occasions, and I know he was doing rematch for a bit as well, but this is going to be a complete introduction to how he plays on the pitch. For now, the DeLorean not able to crash through that first defender. It falls back to Griff.
Oh, well, it's going to be either back to the future or in the present. And we'll be starting with at least Jonesy himself up the back wall here, and doesn't happen as well. Nice little sort of poise to the game here. And Joe, what will be, better in the sense we seem to be following the Royal Navy's Hammerheads at the current juncture. I mean, the biggest thing going into the game after the type of series they just had is don't concede, play with a bit of tempo, and just see what your opposition doing. And so far here, they matched everything about it.
Well, so far the Metronomes, though, have definitely been the Jackdaws. They've had a majority of that pressure. It's familiar Hammerhead's defense, albeit not conceding too early, and that allows them to find their footing in this game and try and match that pace that's been put against them. But Jonesy, with a really deep play, ends up having that ball fall right on his lap. No more boost to progress any further forward, but still, Hammerheads have to respond.
Well, it's on the flank, and should be, and has been tipped to the middle. And Jonesy with a lot of time there, but given possession far too cheaply by any standard. That should be dropped into the middle for at least to have a shot on target here, and it has, unfortunately, ricocheted to the side, whipped away to the corner, and unfortunately that's probably been the best chance either side has given so far in this opening game.
Oh, but Klaus looked set up for the double. Couldn't get the follow through there on time. William has to clear this one out to the corner, but someone else has to be there faster. Constantly, we see them beaten by that second man press. It was almost costly, but for now, we still have clean sheets on either side.
That certainly will not be lasting. That particular fact of the game so far, somebody will have to drop a goal at some stage here, and I don't want to say it so soon here, but I think this has OT written all over it.
Back down. Klaus wants this one back off the corner. Can't get that second touch. Maka, there's no teammates on the inside, so Grim will take it forward. You saw, I believe that was Jonesy, abandoned post. He looked like he was in a good position to just keep that forward-footing gameplay. Instead, Klaus had to really slow down the play there, have to cut in from an awkward angle, and as a result, that's built up to the first real big Hammerheads attack. but the touch isn't reached, and Klaus will send that one home from D.
And just like that there, just pops it right over. It's actually a third man commit here. Didn't need to do that. The Hammerheads certainly will be looking at that and realise it's a missed opportunity just to sort of hold and pause the game, essentially. But, well, that is the unfortunate side of it. I mean, for the British Army side, they'll be looking at this and be going, right, that's the opening goal. Can we campaign to maybe go for a second one and sort of cement our advantage here?
I've been surprised that it has only been one so far. The chances have opened up for the Jackdaws, and they have created them themselves. But when it comes to just finding that final ball onto the target, there has been somewhat of a missing ingredient. Either way, that's been enough so far to put Hammerheads behind. And if we're talking about missing ingredients, there's certainly some pots and pans still to be taken out the pantry for the Hammerheads.
I thought we were going to get a tier list on what my favourite pan was there.
Not this time. That's going to be a BFBS exclusive. Make sure to follow him on TikTok, ladies and gentlemen. There we go.
TikTok and what else? Go on then. Do it properly.
Oh, we got the TikTok, we got the Twitter as well. Of course, we've got the Twitch. We've even got more esports running at the exact same time as the Rocket League. I know last night we had some League of Legends. I know historically there's been some F1 mixed in, so there's plenty of excitement to go around here. But for now, Klaus trying to break away, doesn't get through Maka. Still chances for a bit of late drama in the last 30 seconds, but it has to come from what would be a very rare attack for the Hammerheads.
Oh, it could be.
Oh, hold on!
Oh, yes!
What on earth? It's a rare miss coming from the Jackdaws, but it's in the most dangerous of areas. Hammerheads are given that opening. There is blood smelled in the water, and they have taken that time to feast. Potential for overtime at the end of these 15 seconds, but I don't think I can predict anything anymore.
Well, unfortunately, I didn't say predictions was going to be the strong sort of suit up this evening here, but the one thing I did at least get right so far is the OT. Here it is. Now the question is what do you want from it, from the Hammerheads sort of side of things? It's just make sure they can send it long here. That's awkward. No, that's a mistake and a half.
Well, it's been a series about recovery. Two teams left wounded after swept defeats in their first series of the day. And you can see that a little bit of a stumble once across their own lines. It's been the decider for the last two goals. But still for Jackdaws, the team made up of substitutes stand up on a main roster on the main stream as well. And with that, it's match point.
It certainly is. And you know what, that sort of is a perfect time here. They ask you at this sort of point, you know, a team full of subs here. You know, is it going to be regrets here on the players that, you know, of the teams they left off? Because you look at it and you're sort of going, well, they were a sub here. Now they're essentially competing here as their own team. They could potentially do threat against their own here.
Yeah, they definitely could. And I liked what I saw so far from that game, but it's still not perfect. There definitely is still more reps needed, just representing a team themselves, getting that consistency together. That's something you really lose when you have been a substitute player for such a long time. And that definitely has been evident in their opening gameplay so far. And then when we look at the Hammerheads side, Danny, there's still a lot to look for there. And in a certain vein, you're looking at, you know, an overtime and thinking, oh, wow, that must have been such a close result. What actually played out on the pitch there was they were gifted a lifeline and they still were not able to rise up afterwards.
Well, funny enough, you used the word scorelines and lifeline. Did have a brief look on the old sheet itself here to see who and what has been happening elsewhere. The Storm Shadows is going very decently for a 2-series nil scoreline. The likes of the Harriers unfortunately lost here, but going 1-1 in the group stage, not too bad. But in a best-of-3 format, anything could happen. And right now, the debutants would like another idea of a sweep here.
Jonesy pops it up high. Second touch is going to be difficult, especially with a challenge of Maka rolling down that backboard. It's another miss in a dangerous area from Jackdaw's defense. Hasn't been tested much, but when it has done, unfortunately, you can see there's still a little bit of a lack in the risk assessments. Grim towards the corner. William doesn't get that read. Another touch finds the inside. You mentioned debutant teams. How about the debut player?
Well, funny enough, allows his main time to shine here. It's an ideal play, but it's right. All credit has to be given to the assister. Just split the defence right apart here. And even to touch on to your main point about the risk assessment, the key part about any risk assessment is prevention is usually the first factor. I think for the Royal Navy, that's where they've got to look at here for the remainder of Game 2.
Up high from William. It's a rare moment into the Jackdaws half. And it was up to that clearance to make sure it wasn't short-lived. Both Jonesy with 30 in the tank still is flipped to save and a dragged ball forward. Allow some time for the teammates to reset as well. Grim still got 0 boost, but was in a good enough position to still chase onto that second ball. Now getting over 1. Needs an extra touch to find it on the inside. The opponents might have just done it for them. But Klaus at the near post is saved by Maka, but there still might be more issues in that department.
Still. And it's in the box.
Oh!
That's had to go. Not many chances you get very often. It just sits there right in the front of the box like that. Should have been 2.
Jonesy building up a play in a lot more of a weakened position than what we saw beforehand. Should have been reset at the kickoff. Should have been thinking about a third. Still looking for that insurance. But make sure to get it in quick time. It was that touch on the inside coming from the opponent. Taylor just couldn't get this one under control. Had 0 boost as well. It's a moment of pure desperation, but Jackdaws feast upon it.
It's one of those sort of situations you've just really got to stick your body as the second man to hold any sort of that sort of tidal-like pressure that was going to come from that side of things. But nevertheless, they've got to shake it out of their memories, get a goal quickly here. And it's a double backflip essentially in the grand scheme of things. Nice whipping play for a counter-attacking play from William. But it's unfortunately that sort of key word, play, but it's sort of stuck on rewind for the moment here. Dropped all the way back and nothing developed.
William has been given just a rare touch onto that opposite end. Again, there's a lack of preparation. They had time and space to build that play up. It happens yet again. This one out towards the right. You've got to win this second ball. Taylor, though, completely misflips. Sends too much momentum towards the wrong way. And that allows the ball to fall back into Jackdaw's possession. Still there, half one slip up, as we've seen before, can still be costly.
Jonesy. That won't be a mistake right here. Demo may actually help both sides here. The resets and open the pitch up here. William, slow. And he's actually got past 2, and his teammate Taylor not able to at least thread the needle. If he got a bump on the opposition, it may have actually been the better play of the 2.
Grim trying to cut in from the corner. We've seen these infield passes, but that's half the defense of Hammerheads. This time there's a response. There's a counter coming from William as well. Teammate was an option on the inside, but the catch was good and the shot was even better.
Wasn't that good? Teammates on the open, you've got to make the extra pass.
You want to see a bit of selflessness when you see a new roster. And I do understand that. But a hero is called upon for the Hammerheads, and it might just be William, but Jonesy is the kryptonite in immediate fashion. They're back to that double deficit.
The fact of it, and you would sincerely hope if you were listening to the comms with the players that Jonesy was calling his teammate right off that if he touches it in any way here, that bobbles and it's not a 2-goal lead. And unfortunately here, for the Royal Navy's Hammerheads, at some point here, you've got to, really just send it. There's no point in playing defensive when you're trailing. You've got to, essentially say, right, we're having our opportunity and we're sending it all in.
Dare we bring in the caster cliche? Dare we even mention any kitchen sinks right now? Maka to William. It's a pop-up high, but you've got to be up fast. Grim was there earlier and is rewarded with that first touch. Uncontested towards the corner. It's Jonesy. Klaus, the debutants for the bottom corner. From the booth onto the pitch with a sweep. The British Army Jackdaws have found their final piece.
That's the last time I invite Pegasus to go into my kitchen. Stolen the frying pan, the pots, and now he wants the kitchen sink too. He's going to be taking the plasterboard and the paint off next.
Wouldn't mind it. I mean, if you're offering as nicely as you are.
Do you like the colour blue by any chance?
Well, the pitch has seen plenty of it. Goal explosions coming from that side. Jonesy's made it 5. Needed 2 more, and just heard a wonderful producer mention curtains. I do like your shade of purple.
Well, apparently there's many people of the BFBS community that enjoys the purple curtains. Royalty! At this point here, I think there's going to be a BFBS Twitter account of just the curtains popping up in random places.
Yeah, I'm sure Lena can convince you to wear it as a cape for the socials at some point. Come on, we got to make that one happen.
A Greek sort of token thing, just right around like a Greek god.
Ooh, we could have a few. That would make heaps of content for the future. For now, we've got 7 shots in one game, which is certainly building towards it. However, I don't think any real hopes of a miraculous comeback are going to be a part of that. The seconds are dwindling down. We see the flat line of this series appear on the monitor. They'll get another 3rd goal for the road. Now the Jackdaws have secured themselves a sweeping response towards their sweeping defeats they face in round 1.
Well, sweep here, a sweep there, but nobody's to say it to clean my kitchen. Pegasus has absolutely destroyed it here, and at this point here, somebody has to come and fix it.
Well, yeah, you'll get some time to do that, of course, because with that being a sweep, there is going to be a little bit of a break in between round 2 and round 3. However, before we get to that point, I want to see if there are any results that have come through. I'm seeing the Mustangs with a sweep against the Lossy Phantoms, and the Storm Shadows keeping that 4-0 record with a sweep against the Serpents. Though it must be said there, Danny, haven't felt like we've had any real surprises so far in the qualifier.
So it's sort of no disrespect, but that's the sort of the beauty of the way the season has been. It's probably went as perfect as the admins has hoped it to be here, and you know, it's the early rounds. We expected the odd 2-0s here. It's round 4, round 5 is when that sort of decider matches essentially who's going to qualify. So upset central, I would imagine, is where we'll be in about half an hour time here, Pegasus.
Absolutely. Upsets always seem to happen later in the day. No excuses for the warm-ups anymore. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you all after that short break.
here, every millisecond counts. And in here, every millisecond counts too. Never let delays ruin the action. Upgrade your Wi-Fi to Wi-Finity. Use code BFBS50 to get 50% off your first 3 months.
And moving forward to today's match that we've got for round 3, Pig. Lozzie Phantoms against the RAF Tornadoes. So Lozzie Phantoms taking to the side of blue, RAF Tornadoes in the orange. And going into this match, I'm extremely excited, Pegasus, because Lozzie Phantoms, I believe this is the first time we've actually experienced them playing so far in Season 2. They're returning figures from Season 1, and they were absolute heroes who played week in, week out last time around, and there was oh so much support put forward to that team. This time around, they're fighting for the points. This time last week, they actually managed to get through 6th in the group stage combined, qualified for Swiss. Now here they are taking on some of the established RAF players, Pegasus.
And it's so great to say that when we did have the first ever BFBS Pro League, we could call it the first one. They have now instilled a legacy. They've got potential over time to see that progression in their runs over in this scene. So thank you to BFBS for one, for even allowing this to exist in the first place. And I'm very interested to see how they are going to step up in this specific matchup, because they are against the Tornadoes, who have had an extra series to play today, albeit not to very high success.
Yeah, maybe so, but I do believe we've got some players ready on the pitch, so without further ado, we're just going to get stuff sorted. I do believe there's been a couple of connection errors on the end of Lozzie Phantom, so we're just going to keep our eye out for that one, Pig.
Oh, as always, unfortunately, that's just going to always be a factor of the esports scene. You've got to earn the right with consistent results to play in that LAN setup right at the end of the season. But for now, the online qualifier kicks off. It's the Lozzie Phantoms versus the RAF Tornadoes. So there's a bit of a there's a bit of an energy around co-workers, which is typically negative. Definitely not this time. Blink. Look for that second touch of the back wall. Rolfie is tested on his own nets, though just a simple step forward will get the job done for the first play of the day. Though lost from deep, it's off the crossbar, double hits, but a third will be enough to open up the score.
It will be indeed, and it's RF Tornadoes off with the opener. And for those of you who might not have heard me, Tornadoes coming into this game with a substitute. The one with asterisks all over his name is Phil from work, who was called upon this roster today. So a big thank you for him for getting stuck in to today's affairs. But Lozzie Phantoms trying to step forward with a bit of a response here.
Lost for corner. Rolfie at that front post has already been tested on the goal line. And that is going to be the first real huge mistake to happen in this series. It looks like we had a back and forth affair. We've seen so many sweeps so far on these streams. I thought this would be the end, but that has to change.
Well, it may well do. And Karis is going to try and rip one towards the backboard. It's followed up nice and quickly by Rolfie. As here comes that man again towards the target. And the Lozzie Phantoms are going to have a whole world of support behind them.
Such a great run out wide, kept their momentum at just the perfect amount so they could follow up on that play but not get fooled by a back wall hit too strong. The control is great. The game is put back within their own hands before it could run away from them too early. Now already, it's a bit of a change in pace compared to what we've seen beforehand, but Lost takes the initiative straight off the counter, is stopped dead by Karis.
And let's not forget, this series has huge implications for the day's events to come. Karis? Hold on a minute, Pegasus. What have I just seen?
I blinked, and I very well almost missed it. Out of nowhere, Caris proves themselves a master of every single surface. Ball off the backboard, car off the ceiling, right in the back of the net. That will certainly do for an equaliser.
And this is a Lozzie Phantoms team that this time last year was seriously struggling. Just the RF Tornadoes, the bottom side of the official representing RF rosters today, are going to squeeze in a third, but it certainly didn't look convincing.
Oh, that is a devastating way to concede again. That's happened twice for the Phantoms in this game. The Tornadoes certainly not going to have any complaints on their half of the pitch. Although I do still want to see even create more. Caris doesn't reach the ceiling this time, runs out of boost. And with that, he's sent down to ground, has to rotate fast already. Call to action in this defense. Just keep it away from that goal line. That's a cursed spot. Loss takes it back into the corner and tries to find that area.
And I must say, Caris seriously impressing me in all aspects really on the field at the moment. I'm just having a look at his player perspective, and it seems he's finding himself in all the right sorts of places. As Blink is going to try and contest a 50 against that very player, pushes it into that far corner.
It's just a degree of confidence, and certainly not unfounded, like you said. Plenty of decisions seem correct in where they find themselves on the pitch, and they know it. They'll attack every play with immediate effect. That's why you're seeing so many of these clashes in the 50-50s look a lot cleaner when it's Caris on that opposite side. Lost, not going to be able to find this redirect. Rolfie sends this one to the wider areas, but Tornado's not done with this attack quite yet. Rolfie's in a whirlwind. Tries to take this one out wide. It's covered well, but that flick just doesn't connect.
And Phil from work. Platinum 2, he may be in the descriptor, but he had a big impact downfield. It's now 3 apiece after a bit of a shock counter-attack here.
And it has been the most back and forth affair we've seen so far. 6 goals. We've been high scoring all day, but to see them so equally split down the middle, that has been the breath of fresh air. Though the Lossy Phantoms perhaps should have conceded a little less than they've shown so far. A lot of individual mistakes on that goal line have made the difference. Whether that will remain as a bitter aftertaste heading into the second game is left decided by this final minute and a half.
Rolfie to hoof it downfield, and now here comes a little bit of pressure as Lozzie Phantoms are pushing downfield. It looks to be a little bit of a chance. There's 2 blue players all the way at the back to filter back forwards.
Hit towards the corner. Needs a second to find the inside instead. Goes for it all on their own, and there's a heavy touch coming off Blink that leaves the deeper set players to get in the attack. Rolfie wanted it, but it was already covered by Traff. Lossy Phantoms make it 4. And it's 2 players now knocking on the door of a hat-trick. So full of that individual talent.
Just under a minute left to play then for the Tornadoes. And they're going to have to step forward with something really special to bring to the table. But we have seen a few loose ones go through. It's been a game of mistakes more than it has been real moments of magic, aside from the likes of Caris. We've had those solo plays, as that's a fantastic shot. Just tipped away by Lost.
Caris doesn't get a touch there, looking for on that left wall still. Tries to follow the play forward. Lost doesn't reach that 50 as Traffy has to send it off that corner. The pace of play just isn't there. Rolfie just run down this clock. The demo's been made, but that's just defensive from Tornadoes. The mindset, though, has to switch in these final 10 seconds. It's all out attack. The ground is heating up. The 8th must be found on that Tornado side, but you see how the Lossy Phantoms are all stacked up, defending that halfway line as if it's their net, and that will decide the first game. It was hard fought, it was all Lossy Phantoms, but that was both areas of the pitch.
Dare I say, that's the closest game we've had so far today, full stop, even though statistically, I'm not sure that represents a similar picture. Lossy Phantoms had 10 shots to their name. Tornadoes had 4, but I have to give full credit to the Tornadoes as well, who stepped up today and had the confidence to just go out there and say, we're going to go for it. Field a roster no matter what. They pulled in that substitute to do some real real heavy lifting. And I can see the way he's trying to involve himself with the likes of the disruption, the demos at the back line, and those little pop-ups in front of net as well. They seemed really dangerous. So tornadoes, do not count them out just yet.
This looks like the series that could break the sweeping streak we have had so far in today's action. But in this third round, Lizzie Phantoms on that match point have that history now of being qualifier warriors. They've had their one series of matchup. They've had a bit more of a break than the Tornadoes as well to reach this point. First hit, though, is all the Tornadoes rattling off that crossbar.
Absolutely so. And it is very early doors, and so far so good for both sides, as Lost couldn't quite squeak that one towards the target. It's going to be a double whammy attempt from Tornadoes and a team bump from Karis and his teammate, as it's all sort of calamity, and there is an opportunity that presents itself for the star man from game one. Karis back with even more vengeance.
I've got a problem with the name 50-50. There's no luck there whatsoever. Karis positions perfectly, and Tornado shows the side of that car. There's only one way that ball can go, and it almost reached that very same point again.
Oh, it's slightly dangerous though, but Rolfie, no touch found on the dunk across the goal mouth. This Tornado's looking awkward. They're going to need a bailout here, and Blink is going to do exactly that for them.
Blink tries to strike again. It's a lot of heavy flipping coming from the side of Tornadoes. And it has just killed all their momentum. It's given Phantoms plenty of time to regroup themselves. And I do just want to see a bit more of a degree of calm about them. Of course, that is difficult in this format. But I liked how they came out the gates in game one, and I don't want to see that change anytime soon.
Not at all, as this game is really settled compared to the last, but it is just worrying me a little bit. These infield plays, as a bump reset almost sends Karis with a fortuitous grace downfield. It's a pop-up high over towards Rolfie. That one's just off its mark, and Blink is going to need to recover quickly and pushes it to the safety of the corner.
It's been less possession for the Phantoms, but there's not necessarily been an increase in urgency. It still feels like even when they're off the ball, they have relative control of the position. If they try to attack those areas, there's always a player ready to clear that out to the corner towards a teammate. That one comes off heavy. This should be a time of panic, but I don't think Karis has panicked once in this entire series thus far.
Lost is going to step forwards with plenty of confidence as well, as you can see. Phil just looking downfield, eyeing up those bumps, those disruptions. He's grabbed 100 boost, and Blink now is going to filter into the play. No contact found, but Lost is going to find the space on that right-hand flank. Maybe a chance now towards the infield, but it's done away with, and this looks very dangerous, Pig.
Certainly does. Just has to run it home. Almost thought that touch was going to be a bit too heavy towards the back wall. It was all already calculated, and just look at the positioning of the two. There's a real chance there that you can have a head-on collision with your own teammate, but there was that degree of calm waited for that touch to come across to themselves instead of trying to force it on their lonesome. There is just, again, that little bit of ice, that composure coming from Phantoms. Of course, that I was going to say in both boxes of this pitch. That is completely ignoring game one.
Well, Blink now has potentially set up his opposition here. That one's towards the target, but it's just ricocheted down off that crossbar. Great 50-50. And that is going to be Lozzie Phantoms 3 up now. And what a turn of pace it's been from game one.
And I thought Traff was going for the goal skill there. Turns out it was a requirement after that one. Dropped down off the crossbar. But again, still holding the position. It's a great reading of the play, and Tornadoes have not felt as offensively involved in this game, despite, again, what has felt like an increase of time on the ball. But when you compare the quality of chances, the hat-trick from Traff will do all the talking.
Well, the ever-strengthening Lozzie Phantoms have established quite the legacy for themselves over the course of the last couple years, and I think the Lozzie Phantoms players being a bit critical here. He suggests worst series ever streamed, and I'll be honest, Pig, I couldn't disagree more.
Whoa! One in chat if we disagree. I better be seeing a whole lot of ones. This first game has given us a lot to go off, and in this second, it's nice to see that Lozzie Phantoms have been able to build up off that previous performance. Rolfie off that crossbar. For a second there, I had to check what colours they were. That was actually a very well calculated defensive play yet again. The 50 is strong towards that sidewall. Karis try and get this one out from deep, but the mindset will certainly change once you reach this area of the game. 1 minute to go. 4 goals for Tornadoes. It would be a miracle.
Absolutely, and I reckon all of the supporters behind Lozzie Phantoms, these and the likes within the station, back at home, are really going to be smiling after this performance, because it is such a big push towards that Swiss stage once again. I must reiterate, it's 4 teams going through each of these groups, Group A and Group B, to meet the 8 invited teams towards Swiss. And if they can eke out just this game and potentially another victory, that is then booked in, Pig, realistically.
And just the history of Lozzie Phantoms now, they're becoming an expectation into that later stage of the tournament. Initial seeding didn't give them that grace before we had seen any ball played on the pitch, but it's a reason we run these broadcasts. It's a reason we let these players play. Sports can be unpredictable, and time is been given for these 3 to work upon all of their talents, and Lozzie Phantoms clearly have heaps of it.
And I honestly think, from the perspective of Tornadoes, once again, they're not going to be beating themselves up over that performance, Pig. That game 1 was a true spectacle, and they did throw everything they could at the play, and albeit in some of the most difficult circumstances a team can face when you're a man down. But massively well played to Lozzie Phantoms as well, and that really is going to shake up the groups, Pig.
Really is. It's the end of the 3rd round, and with that, that's when the groups really start to shape up. Beforehand, you're still looking at who has played who. It all feels a bit too early to call, but for now, I feel like we've gotten a pretty good idea of the wider talents as well. When we're talking about the Tornado Psycho, I mean, at least they've shown up today. They've given it that chance. There still is a bit of a chance with those series still to be played out. And they're also in that group that has less opponents as well, which you could argue is an advantage or a disadvantage compared to who that 8th team potentially could have been.
Yeah, definitely so. And it's going to be, I believe, Sparrowhawks next up for the Tornadoes over in round 4. And to finish off the day for them as well, it's not going to be particularly easy. But none are any of these games, Pig, when the pressure is high and you've got those ambitions of making the Swiss stage. And of course, then we start to see some real scraps amongst the pecking order.
Well, that's been the joy of BFBS. We've already had an entire season worth of action. We've already crowned our inaugural champion. And with that, new talent has been inspired. And with that, the lower and middle sections have only grown over here in the military scene. But this is just the very beginning of that continuation. The very beginning of this second qualifier as well. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back after another short break.
Good enough can cost you the game. So stop settling. Wifinity is built for real life on base, so you can game without compromise. Posted somewhere new? Take your Wi-Fi with you, no hassle. Get fast, reliable Wi-Fi with Wifinity. Use code BFBS50 to get 50% off the first 3 months.
Hello and welcome back to the BFBS Pro League Community Qualifier number 2. It has been an eventful day so far, and we've sort of had a look at the teams that might be looking to push through towards that Swiss stage, qualifying in the lower end of the seeding, Danny. And this match we've got seems to be a really important one.
Well, it certainly does, and sitting trying to work out roughly the permutations and how things go. I won't bore the maths or side too much here, but for the certain gets this here near enough guarantees is for Jack Jones. On the other hand, it's more the case that it blows the group wide open, spicy for the lower 2 spots. And at that point there, it's anybody's game, Psycho. And you know what? We could sit here and debate as much as we possibly want about the groups, but I'm sure the players are eager enough just as much to prove that point too.
Definitely so. And the fresh Jackdaws, this is, of course, their maiden run in any sort of BFBS competition or indeed representing British Army esports. It is the Jackdaws in the blue, Royal Navy Serpents in the orange. And I'm not even going to bother with a prediction for this one, Danny.
Well, let me see here. A man of my own heart here. Predictions are absolutely a waste of time, in my opinion. And normally, you always hear a caster say, oh, there's 2.3 XG of the opportunities of all goals scored. Boring. Get the opportunity and just stick it in the box.
Well, who is going to stick it in the box first is my initial question raised, as Klaus is going to push this towards the backboard. Grim following up in hot pursuit, and I must say, I've not seen Grim or indeed Klaus take to the field before, apart from those series we watched earlier, so this is going to be one to really test them, I think.
Well, the fact of it, they've been arguably, I don't want to use the phrase overexposed on broadcast, but it's that case of first team bit in their second team is suddenly, this feels a bit comfortable. By the third team, you'd be sort of going, do you mind streaming somebody else? There's surely be somebody else here, because when you're playing well, you want the spotlight on you, and when you're having that sort of type game, you sort of don't know what's going to happen. You just want to somewhat crawl into the shadow.
You know what? I remember the first time I was ever streamed in a competition, Danny, and I believe it was probably your voice going over it. And I'll be completely honest, I was terrified. You were probably the most threatening caster to listen back to, because you didn't hold back your punches, and I'm glad you didn't. Made me a better player for it. That's a good dunk, though, from Klaus to score a first.
What do you mean used to be?
Who's
more threatening?
Used to be a player? Used to be threatening. Oh, you've tamed.
Oh, I know that. Danny.
Well, Jackdaws off to a strong start then, although it was very close to being one the other direction. Serpents easily could have had a goal to their name, as well as Galaxy Reaver is pushing this ball. Just in front of that backboard, Dr. Grimm's going to come down off the ceiling, find a dunk. It's going to be simple for Klaus.
Soft touch, pops it up high, and the second one, Lisa, with the control enough fit at the middle of the field here. It's a question of what's actually going to happen next, and the amount of chatter back and forth that we were a good 2-3 minutes with both sides here, and say, oh, I'm going to demo you don't know, you won't be on the pitch, yada yada yada. And you're sort of going, well, where is the demo? Where's this sort of over aggressive? It's been very much a wildlife walk without the animals.
You know what I think we should do? I think we should bring back Phil, because he did not hold back his punches for the RAF Tornadoes. But nonetheless, Jonesy has got it all to do by himself and does feed the ball across. And I always get a little bit worried when the ball just floats in front of the net for an extended amount of time. As Jonesy with a beautiful first touch, gorgeous second. Can't quite sneak home the double tap, though.
When are we going to get the RAF Jonesy versus this Jonesy, by the way?
Should we make a 1v1 show match just for them? We'll call it the Jonesy off.
Should it be the Jonesies?
The Jonesies? Sounds like a 50s band. The old Jonesies? Surely that's got to be a thing somewhere.
Even my long and tedious or life that I've lived here. I don't think I'm old enough to ever remember that as a boy band name, but never mind a pop rock.
Well, I'll be scouring Wikipedia later on, and maybe, just maybe, it exists. Nonetheless, we find ourselves at 2 apiece. Delk is going to find a teammate in Sam Patty downfield. No contact found, and a good demo to open things up from Grim, who caught one of the opposition players a little bit too far downfield. Another rip shot by Galaxy, no avail.
That one, it's at least the demo. Finally getting to see a few of what they were talking about, and Sam leaving that one awkward and close. At least a nice shift in the ball here, going right to left here, and just trying to hold the idea of, principal Rocket League in terms of, spatial awareness, the pitch itself here. And the only issue I have here is, where's that sort of second and third man? Where's that sort of platform, and essentially to move up the pitch here?
Yeah, and it's unfortunately a ball dropped central from Jackdaws, but Galaxy cannot find that top shelf, and Sam Patty's going to have to try and do one better, but the punch lacks the placement. It's just given a bit more of a reprieve for the Jackdaws.
I'm just trying to work out how many different players or people with the same name now, because there's at least 3 Jacks here I can think of, and the one in the RAF, one in the Navy.
I'm not sure on the Jacks, actually. Are you telling me you're on a first name basis with some of these people?
Yeah, we hang out.
Well, I wish I had such luxuries, Danny. That's a double demo on both sides of the field, and somehow still 2 goals to Jackdaws.
Well, I didn't realise the great Psycho was getting jealous because I had a conversation with one of the 2 players, but certainly all the compliments has been flurrying to the man himself. But what certainly needs to be praised here is sort of the Jacks in terms of what they have been doing. They have played the game quite well. It's quite simple, and it's not repetitious. It's not boring. It's good enough to get the job done, and that's what you have to do in an open qualifier.
Yeah, it was quite a safe game initially, but I do think we started to see things open up a little towards the second half. You were asking for those demos, those bits of disruption, and I do think both teams sort of delivered on that promise. But RN Serpents, I just fear that they're missing out on just a little something. Of course, I managed to see quite a lot of this team going back to Community Qualifier 1, where they did perform rather well. But Delk, I think, usually is teamed up with Runes in this environment, so potentially you could say they're slightly hampered from their original roster, Sam Patty being a sub from the British Army Esports just for today to get them going, but he's put on a strong performance too.
I do love how the interweaving has already happened this season in terms of who is playing with what, whether temporarily or an outright full roster, because you have that sort of like last season around Qualifier 4 and 5, who was going to make that roster change, and you have the likes of Omni and Resurgence coming through that sort of point in time, and it hence dominated the league table. There was a few others, let's not forget as well, that nearly cost the RAF Shadows to qualify. It took them to Qualifier 8 to sneak their way right through. So already that sort of questions bubbling in my mind is which one of these is going to steal a land spots.
Yeah, it's dangerous territory already, and it is only just the start of week number 2. But the Royal Navy Serpents have put themselves firmly on the map here in Game 2.
First goal as well, and over about nearly 6 minutes worth of gameplay. Much needed. Now we'll certainly set up what is essentially for them will be feeling like a qualification matches in the territories of must win the next 2 to even have a chance to squeak their through to the Swiss stage as Klaus just settles the game down, moves that ball right into a dangerous territory. But what I don't like, and I know this is going to be unusual for me to say, it's far too slow.
Maybe so, and it is, again, still worrying me, these infield balls just creeping across each other's nets. I do believe some shots just need to be a punishment, a sentence not to do that again, and Sam Patty, from a very unlikely angle, is going to do exactly that.
I wonder what his favorite game is. Somebody's not biting today. He's not playing with me. But certainly is going around here as the questions of what is happening around and all the various opportunities that we've seen so far by both sides in the two games is that, you know, it's been a case of getting in front of the box here if you're the Royal Navy Serpents, and hence goals will appear, or the opposite in terms of here, you know, it's worked, it's moved across here into the box here, but no response when they trail, and that's going to be the sort of the difference makers between sort of an open qualifier team and a switch stage team.
Yeah, definitely so, and I do apologise for my quietness, as I was attending to a quick message, but Royal Navy Serpents still yet to be tested truly in Game 2 as Galaxy Reaver on target again for a third goal. And he's found this one really from nowhere. Grim overextending a tiny bit through that corner, and that's all it took.
Well, it's sometimes you can find this game incredibly complex, and there's some days you just have to laugh. Because we're sitting here, you know, it's nicely poised, it's moving across here, and then suddenly you're just blinking your eyes and going, here's it 3-0. And it's, you know, it's the subtlety of the game. It's just moving the ball, get it past the first man, and suddenly put it in a dangerous spot. And, you know, everything that you were hoping here for the Royal Navy side, they've done it. They've answered the questions from Game 1, and at this point haven't conceded either, so it's a bonus on top of it.
Definitely, and Galaxy Reaver has done an excellent job of keeping that ball away. With 3 touches to his name, found a dunk on that attacker to come forwards and kept his team in play. And I know you're asking for pace, but it is nice to see these players just slow the pace down when they've got the ball in defence and sort of play those 50s. Make sure you're dragging those opponents forwards, and they're doing so very well.
So I would like to, you know, have a one-off special one evening.
What would that be?
Well, actually, 2 rules off it, but the one I would like to see is no boost.
No boost at all, just waddle.
Yeah.
What would you like to call this event, Danny? I think we should get it in the works.
Waddle League.
Waddle League. I hope all of the teams are looking forward to our next special piece on the BFBS channel. Galaxy Reaver into the far corner.
But
it's going to ricochet
just move on from
crazily in front of goal. It could well be a fourth for Sam Patty, and they almost seem to be toying with their food now.
Well, you know, can you blame them when they're 3-0 up? Sorry, these are the games where, you know, we've talked about this quite a lot, same as Stelios and Pegasus, you know, about game management. Just get the ball shifted around, steal the boost every so often here, and just be a nuisance, especially what we just seen there from... I love how he has a different name to his Discord, by the way.
Which one?
Well, that's a fair point, a fair few of them. Ladder. You know,
yes, LDK, as he's known in Discord.
Joe, I prefer that more.
It's got a nice ring to it, doesn't it? But Ladelk, I don't know, it's got a bit of a thud in it. Like, that's somebody that you want to have in front of goal taking a shot.
No,
you want Ladelk on the ball. That's what you need.
No, it sounds like a knockoff of Dale for me.
No, never.
What,
never.
rolling in the dark here?
Rolling in the deep, isn't it?
It is, yeah, but it's, you know, a dark moment because it's 4-0. I thought I'd shake up the lyrics a wee bit.
Expertly recovered.
I set you up there, but you didn't want it.
Well, Jackdaws have not set themselves up for a Game 3 that they're going to be best pleased with if the tale is to continue in this direction. It's been a star-studded performance from Royal Navy Serpents. I do think courtesy of that man in the MVP position, Galaxy Reaver, was a very new addition to the Royal Navy Esports Rocket League team just before Community Qualifier 1. And I don't imagine they've had too much time to sort of get used to one another. That player is a real difference maker. His control on the ball, especially coming out of defence, but also his ability downfield to make things happen. I'm really, really impressed, Danny.
I was wondering when the analytical coach was going to come through. There it was. And you know what? Everything that you said there is exactly what you want in a player, especially in big moments and big situations. Is that, you know, how do you describe it? It's like an IQ of a player, sort of that sort of street smart, essentially. And if they get it just right here, and you know, maybe another couple of days, maybe another week, they could be a major threat. You know, not just in terms of this stage, but in terms of a lot. But that's a sort of a decent saving for the Leafs as well. The first time this evening, they saw on stream, that is, of course. We're going into a deciding game.
Dr. Grimm's going to need to get a move on for this touch. Manages to weave a fake, and Sampati looks awkward. But it was just a little bit ahead of himself. Galaxy Reaver reversing in the corner. Klaus has an opportunity now. The caster himself to hit over to the backboard. But it is comfortably dealt with.
I've just realised that Dr. Grimm, that's the proper name. I thought was Dragon.
Dragon?
Yeah.
Oh, right. I see it. I do see it, Danny.
Yeah.
I'll need to add it to the caster note brief, won't I?
Yeah, the full scramble of me writing his name down. I've been hearing Grim, and I thought somebody's having a really bad day here, but no, it's the actual player's name. I'm having one of those shockers in this matchup.
For those of you who don't know, Danny exclusively sees names as valid Scrabble words. Don't ask how I know that, as Dr. Grimm is going to push the ball towards the top right. Just a little bit wide.
Oh, the man's also, unfortunately, a few other words we could spell out on broadcast. One's particularly smug, as Galaxy will be certainly enjoying that one. If you get it on a double letter or a triple, it'll be at least over about 35 points here.
Maybe so. No contact found for Roe Jonesy. Nothing on the board.
Surely
20
no
points to his name. Oh, it's an uphill battle now, isn't it?
Well, especially when you have dyslexia, but I don't think they're going to be interested in our Scrabble match. But certainly is in terms of account. How will the cast himself there, and Klaus will do from the corner. Certainly nothing there in a double commit. That's the first thing we've seen that as well. So already pressure showing.
Whoa, it's a big double commit. And the ball has pinged off to the right-hand side. That is a real let-off for the Jackdaws. They still have a little bit of hope. It's only one goal against them here as Grimm's pushing the ball towards the corner now. It's very sort of one-dimensional, the attacks right now. Just shuffle it round the corner and hope the mistakes are going to form. I don't see it happening, Danny, but that one is a big chance opened up from the Serpents. Demo on the last man.
You just saw the right opportunity, and the fact the bump on Grimm just seals that one right down. And you know what here, the annoyance of it is here, Klaus knows he had time to deal with it. And that's sort of the difference maker. You have to seal and redeal the pressure as it comes here. It could be goal number 3, should be with the ball like this right in front of the box.
Oh, Klaus is going to step forwards with 100 boost here. Now is the time to strut your stuff. Where is Jonesy going? It's a touch in front of the goal mouth. And the ball has just delicately been placed into that far left corner. And what a play.
You have to enjoy moments like that. Whoa. Just with that, it's a chance. And unfortunately, the kickoff right against him. Klaus rotates the right side as well. Boost and turned into the corner. See far too often here people somewhat like to cheat up, have the speed, and the ball ricochets into the sort of the side wall. Not this time around. And you know what, with 2 minutes still left on this clock, you just have to imagine here we're going into an OT.
It's been slowed down by the Serpents and they've been bitten. Big touch from Klaus is going to make it yet more uncomfortable for the defense as Galaxy Reaver pushes that one to the corner.
Let's move across, right hand side. Unfortunately, Galaxy can't get onto it. Klaus removed it. That will ricochet, crossbar and down. And unfortunately, somebody decided to put a sound effect board underneath Psycho. If you press it again, there'll be rounds of applause.
I'm waiting.
I'm waiting for somebody to hit the button.
And so was I. The applause may be due to come, but Jackdaws need a second, and they need it now, and we're hoping they're going to give us something to shout about as Jonesy tempers his way and gets a strong 50 towards the midfield. That's 2 orange defenders gone, and it's not going to be an instant challenge from Galaxy Reaver. Opts to play it slow, all 3 hunkered back. Galaxy wins the ultimatum, and it is just a simple prance towards net. It was an all-in play from Jackdaws, but was that the right move, Danny?
No.
There you have it. It's not the right move. It's been punished. Jackdaws, I think, just bit off a little more than they could chew. They could see the glory right in front of them and thought, we've all got to get it done.
And that's the difference of it. You just know fine rightly what you have to do. And that's the difference between instinct and experience, because you know you don't have to send all 3. Especially when you have pressure, it's a 1-goal margin. Now suddenly, 20 seconds left to find 2 goals. There's a lot more of the panic setting in. You double from the ceiling. If they get that, it'll be a freestyle Friday.
Klaus may have been the player in the pre-lobby asking for that exact sort of a show, as Grim is just going to see this ball down. It's in front of net, but it's not going to challenge the series at long. RN Serpent emerged victorious, and ever since game 2, they looked unstoppable.
And Joe, want here credit to them as well. And Joe, I have a bit of a soft spot growing spicy for the Royal Navy, especially since the inter-service this year, because what they have been able to produce, Psycho. And we didn't see it in the last qualifier, and they're getting the results here. And Joe, what is just getting the job done here. Get yourself into the Swiss stage and have the luxury of 3 lives. And so far here, if they provide the way they have been doing, they might actually, I think provide at least 2 key upsets here next week.
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible. And we looked at the Royal Navy results that came through last week in that Swiss stage, and I was utterly shocked just by the level of performance they were bringing to the table, taking games off even the toppest of top teams. And I reference in particular the British Army Esports Buzzers, the top team that ended up winning the playoffs last week. They were actually taken to, I believe it was game 4 by the Royal Navy Krakens as well. So it is just talent through and through that is shining through the Royal Navy at the moment. But the rest of their journey very much remains to be seen. We're going to go back towards the top end of the groups for our next matchup. Round 5, RAF Storm Shadows versus the British Army Esports Merlins. So we'll have to see how that one goes after this short break. See you soon.
Took a deal, signed another deal, post up in the hills on the real, headed for a mill, travel with me still, getting kills, all this pop appeal, got these pop stars try popping in, and they getting pop for real. I ain't tryna build, I was tryna lead a mill, getting to it, before I hopped up off the block, I was still going through it, friends doing pills, and came faster than it should've. I was Buddy Hill, shooting at a pace soon as I pull up, dropping buckets, hey, yeah, like it's nothing. In the kitchen chopping onions, yeah. Tears falling down, underdog is finally overcoming, cause I'm dropping buckets, hey, yeah, like it's nothing, hey. Earn my respect and burn a budget, hey. Tears falling down, underdog is finally overcoming, baby, yeah, I'm dropping buckets. Drop some cash for me, don't worry about my past for me. I'm driving with no gasoline, this life I live's a fantasy. Yeah, I do this for my dogs, all my day ones and my family. My life gon' live through them if I end up in any tragedies. I hope y'all understand this shit got bigger cause it had to be. I always knew I had it, but just not at this capacity. I recognize the gravity, closer to the summit, stacking chips and counting nuggets. I've been stunting, baby, cause I'm dropping buckets, hey. Yeah, like it's nothing, ayy. In the kitchen chopping onions, ayy. Tears falling down, underdog is finally overcoming, cause I'm dropping buckets, ayy. Yeah, like it's nothing, ayy. Earn my respect and burn a budget.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to, of course, the BFBS Pro League Season 2, the Open Qualifier. Well, sadly, is near the end, but it's not the end. It is, however, the beginning of round number 5. And Pegasus, we seem to be reunited here for our final game of the evening. It's the question, though, of who do we have? Because is it the number 1 side of the RAF, or is it the second side of the RAF? There's been seemed to be a fair amount of arguments.
Look, they had a token match. You went to this current Storm Shadows way, but I still do believe that there is a stronger RAF side when I'm looking at it on paper and when I'm looking at very previous results as well. But hey, there's still the time of an entire season for that to change, of course. Plenty of talents here. They'll be playing against the British Army Merlins. So this has potential to be a very big matchup, especially if the Merlins can take a victory. But of course, the stakes a lot lower on that Shadow side, which has also introduced the absence of one of their key players.
Well, it certainly is a question in terms of what he's able to produce and how things will develop. But sort of the major bit of it is, you know, to me, there will always be the Tempest, and that's no disrespect to him for being the RAF Storm Shadows by name. To me, I've known them growing up and developing as under that name. But the fact that Samus is not playing this round here for whatever particular reason, it's essentially been a 4-man roster for ages, essentially. So it shouldn't be an issue, but people will be surprised. I'll give a compliment where it's rightly due. Probably Samus was arguably their best player in the last qualifier.
Clip it, ship it, post it absolutely everywhere. We have just found Diamond at the end of this BFBS stream, and that is why you stick around for the entire time. But the players are getting themselves ready for what is going to be their final series of the day. They have basically qualified themselves, of course, for that Swiss stage, but you want to get those reps in. You really want to test as well the depth of both of these rosters, with the substitute being thrown in place for the Storm Shadows. But as you mentioned before, that's a harsh title to give to any one of those 4 players.
Certainly so, and if you sat there and saw the roster mania, there was a fair argument here for either of these 2 gentlemen in the form of Action and Ready to be player of the tournament, as they already seem to have kicked the Action off here. It's Action with the opening.
Now, you mentioned him, and just as you say his name, there's impact past the halfway line. A redirect from deep will open up the scores. Merlins knew that they would be in for a ride when you see that Storm Shadow's name on the opposite side. I don't think many expected it to come so early.
Well, best strong 50 we've seen in previous qualifiers of many years now at this point. Usually provides an upset. He'll be hoping to do it here and to provide a few, shall we say, shockers.
Oh, well, that's the first of many shocks we're going to see in this series. It's 2 goals within 30 seconds. Again, it's action, but a lot of that coming off the back of Deadly's miss here. There was a double commit as well at that front post, but at first touch, you'd say, Danny, should have been enough regardless.
I think we'll be saying that for a while. You know, everything really in this game comes down to that first touch. If it, you know, soft or gentle, what you're trying to do to essentially poise that ball in the right position. And the fact that you have a setup as good as that, and yet no second man the following, this is going to be a long evening here.
It's 6 very active members of the general BFBS community. When you don't see them on the pitch, you certainly see them in the Twitch chat, making sure that they keep up to date with all the action. Though this time, we've had to wait quite some time to see that first goal. It felt like the first one should have been on the target. Deadly's not going to want to watch that one back, but Abyss will be happy to complete his assist.
Oh no, there's a few people in the British Army will watch that back, and again, and again, and even again too.
Down to Reedy for free. Completely blinds the competition. And just when I thought that the Merlins had found the moment that they needed to get themselves into this first game, as per usual, it's the Storm Shadows stamping their authority.
How much of a sort of a stomping are they going to essentially grab into it? And it's a ball right into the box, hasn't happened. And it should be whipped away here by Abyss. It hasn't been done so really. And unfortunately, I think there might be a few eyes maybe not on the right side of the pitch here.
Shaq would certainly agree that's the case, with G-Wood continuing to clamp down the pressure into his very own half. And Merlin's left stuck by the touch of Reedy. G-Wood towards action. All 3 players mentioned. Still not enough to break through that final line. It's Ishak in the corner who has locked down the defense. The second player was called to action. Despite all that, it has all been Ishak in corner to corner.
Absence, he's got himself set up here. Should be moved into the middle. Shaq following through. At least he'll be on target to force a defender up here. And Joe, well, normally we mention this on the RAF stream and Fairmen as well too. It's quite nice because always the Reedy family and friends always tuned in here, and normally a fair amount of support on it.
G-Wood has that hit out by Abyss, and more as time has gone on, the Storm Shadows haven't spent much time outside of his half. It felt like it was going to be two-sided, especially when Merlin's got that first goal. It might get a second here, though. It's a rare occurrence into the area, but a rare chance from Flux is still deadly.
Certainly is. And it could be quite costly with how things could be. And it's amazing what some things can be entertaining. But having a goal like that there in the situation will certainly feel good.
Action towards Abyss. Can't get it. Reedy misses the open opportunity, and that leaves space for the counter-attack to form. Abyss for some magic. Waves the magic wand for the Merlin. Just when they looked beaten, just when it looked like this momentum was completely uncounterable, the British Army step up in the opener.
Unfortunately, the Shadows are strong in size, and it's going to be awkward enough here as action goes away here. Shaq with a flick. That's strong. That's powerful. Unfortunately, ricochets all the way back here to Deadly himself. They're not able to get this one. Should be in the box. Defense well.
Back towards G-Wood. Ishak came in at an awkward angle, but it's enough to find the ball on the inside. There were two plays available. Yeah, Deadly doesn't get that read. As a result, it's zero boost of his defense. Ishak's called to action. Abyss has had to tip it out wide, and they were temporarily down of numbers just by virtue of the boost count of the entire team, yet still they've managed to tip it into spaces where it's taken time for the build-up. Storm Shadows, though, are still up for that task.
G-Wood, it's a nice shot here. Action up as well. That's unfortunately gone right through. It's a double commit here by Action and Reedy, the two probably best players of last season or this season so far from the RAF. This is what they can do. 60 seconds, though. Still plenty of time for one opportunity.
G-Wood could provide that off the corner. Action is waiting in the area, looking for that hat trick. Will have to settle for an assist, but G-Wood doesn't keep it under the crossbar. Reedy isn't able to do so either. That could be the moment that they look back on. If Merlins can find a chance, if they can escape the vice-like grip from the Storm Shadows, instead it completely breaks open. And Reedy hasn't been given an easier shot.
How many times you want to bang on the front door? The RAF Storm Shadows been doing that time and time again. And finally, they're breaking down this sort of staunching of the defensive wall that they have been facing against with a double touch. It should have been ran in for a single. And that is, unfortunately, I will say, a shocking bit of gameplay.
Shaq down to Abyss. It's not over yet! And Action doesn't reach it! And you wouldn't think, with their qualification essentially already secured, and it being so early in the competition, that we would see a fight like this, but as pride on the line. And Merlins are putting in a great effort to take down who say they are the pride of the RAF.
Last time I've seen a scoreline this wild, it was England versus France, and that ended up 6-4. I don't think we'll unfortunately see that type of scoreline. OT to break the deadlock, unless...
Oh! Almost. Almost from the Merlins. Almost for the Storm Shadows! Corner to corner. End to end. Storm Shadows can be shaken. But this goal is their stability.
That's going to be pure heartache. No matter what, you'll be sitting there saying to yourself to get through the anguish of that moment there. You stick it in the box, just stick your head onto it, surely. No, at that point in time, just kill the ball and go into OT. That's a poor bit of game management there in the last few seconds of that.
It just felt like they had just seen their name in lights, but the lights are way too bright when it's Storm Shadows you're facing up against. Those shot statistics are unbelievable. It was 15 from Storm Shadows to the 11 of Merlins. And, oftentimes, we talk about the stats. Stats aren't good enough on their own. But Danny, it truly felt like that was an end-to-end attacking slugfest from both of these rosters. Right at the dead of the day, we've been gifted an absolute treat.
We certainly have been, but you can break that sort of game into 3 segments off it. It was the RAF Storm Shadows settling quite well in the tempo of it, but you talk about those 13 shots off it. Pretty much 2 of those shots on G-Wood alone, and I'm not trying to single them out here, was open net misses.
Yeah, there were a few opportunities there for sure that shouldn't have seen the game sent to such a later point. They all count. When it's high scoring, you like to believe that dilutes the value of the goal. When they're this close, they still manage to hold their value. Reedy off the kickoff. Already has a pre-jump from Action to G-Woods. The crossbar will deny it. It's an early pre-jump play from the Merlins. Denied against the Storm Shadows.
It's flopped straight up. Reedy has at least challenged it at the halfway line, and G-Wood's awkward. This needs to be capitalised on. And the Storm Shadows will be in an awkward situation. The business there, Shaq, is awkward. Should have left that one. And it's an easy clear defensively, because all that you have to do is plot that anywhere upfield here and just challenge the second ball.
There hasn't been a moment of settling in. This is what best of 3 Rocket League should be about when we have it unfold. It's 2 teams full of quality, 4 rounds, 4 series already completed. But at the 5th, at the peak of their powers, despite any substitutes, a deadlock to be broken. 1 minute called. It could be a very different fashion game in terms of what we see at the top of our screens, though G-Wood will make sure to be the one to open it.
You just have to give credit here First touch was good. G-Wood, just the moment the defender sort of lounges, defensively, that's when you know your weakest point there. You have to give credit outright to the RAF. They played that well.
Excellent play. But that will be quickly responded to this kickoff. Reedy forced to make that last-ditch effort and a little extra as well. That gives a moment for G-Wood in action to find their very own footing. He's found footing. He hasn't found boost. Abyss is in that same department, still front-facing. Can't break past that final defender. There were two options. Shaq wants to be that golden talent. Instead, it's all Reedy.
I love the very gentle touch there on action because G-Wood has not moved in the last 60 seconds there. He's in the middle of the park.
Oh.
Engine failure. And there he is. He's disconnected. But the last thing in his pupils, he would have saw action. Unfortunately, it's game on because at this point here, you can't have sympathy. If you're side trailing and you've got the three-man advantage, essentially, just get the goals.
I mean, he'll be happy not to hear the deflation in the comm straight afterwards. That's a sign that a concession hasn't come. Their lead still remains. Still time to hold on to. Abyss, though, isn't able to make the most of the opportunity. It's really in action, the assembly line, to try and hold on to this defense. It cuts across towards Abyss. They've got that power in numbers, but it is just the stalwart nature of Action and Reedy, which is keeping Storm Shadows in the lead.
Alrighty, Shaq should be the options on the right side of the pitch. Doesn't happen here, and this is essentially a game of cat and mouse here. Because the RAF, if they're being smart about it, should be one touch, two touch. Essentially the 2v2 way of playing. And if you're, unfortunately, the British Army here, you've got to play with pace and power, break through the deadlines here. And this is a better way of going about it. The second man needs to be here to rattle one off.
But I like that the little differentials are still going towards the way of the Storm Shadows. They're making sure to keep those boost counts high. You're not seeing often a position where both of them are completely on zero. The way they've maneuvered their way through just cannot be understated. And that's unbelievable. Straight off the 2v3. Storm Shadows are the ones to come out on top.
Oh, we've been in this situation before, Peg. Especially with being the 2v3 sort of situation, and you'd be going, just don't concede here. It's going to be frustrating here. If you're the British, Army in terms of Merlins, you'd be going, why aren't we doing something about it here? But if you're the Storm Shadows, you'd probably be saying to Sam is right now and sort of going, get your controller ready for a mid-match swap here.
This point as well, you'd say pack it away. This could be the end of their day if they're able to complete this final minute and a quarter with this lead still very much in their favour. They've given themselves that insurance as well. As much as we do see these 2v3 positions very often, Danny, it must be said, I haven't seen one taken with such class than what I'm seeing from the Storm Shadows, and unfortunately as wastefully as I have done from the Merlins.
I'm surprised. That's the most critical I've ever heard you in the last 6 months here.
Sometimes we've just got a sour. What can I say? It's a hot summer's day. I'm not prepared for it. Shaq prepared for this ball to drop right down on their lap. Still not going to be enough to grab a quality. And of course, time ticking not only in the game, but for G-Wood to get that PC back up and running as well. They're going to be watching the full replay to make sure of it. 40 seconds for difference. Really in action. They're getting squeezed to their absolute limits.
And not once here since G-Wood's been gone off the pitch here has the Merlins decided to demo the 2v3 side of the RAF. And you know what? I normally like mention it, Seiko disagrees with this, but the dark arts, why aren't you being pulled? He's shaking his head there. He's probably going, Danny, you're just mucking me around here. I'd be doing it too. Oh, yes, he did, because he did it against Sandrock Gaming when they were near enough the #1 side in the world. Oh, I remember that well.
Seconds dwindle. There is inequality across the pitch.
He's done a John Terry.
I wish we had a cam there from gone good old Psycho for that one. Unfortunately not. G-Wood, by the way, I'm sure we'll all be glad to know, has returned to the pitch. That doesn't matter now. It is over. Storm Shadows have managed to take it. Somehow, the imbalance on the pitch didn't lead to an imbalance in the scoreline going against them as well. That just goes to show the unbelievable pedigree we have on that Storm Shadow side. Of course, it's different players to what we're used to, Danny, but as they said, they've been given that title for a reason. They earned it in a token match, and that was, frankly, a token flagship-worthy matchup.
I would say their inter-service matchup was more than the token match, but either way of it, we can sit here and debate left, right, and centre whether they should or shouldn't have the name. It shouldn't matter whether they're playing under the Tempest or the Storm Shadows. As of right now, they're the number one side from them. It's a question on can they be in the Swiss stage to do some damage. Let's not forget as well, too, and we'll give credit where it's due, they outplayed and outbeat the Tempest, not the Tempest, the Typhoons. In the last qualifiers, they were in the semi-final stage. So far here at the moment here, they're the newer side on paper, one of the oldest partnerships still around with G-Wood and Sam S. You have to give respect here to those four gentlemen at the moment here, because they are at the moment here the biggest and dangerous side the RAF has to offer.
A team that certainly has their bite about them, and we can feel that now. Even when you try to unhinge one of their jaws, take a few teeth, it's still enough to tear up any opponents that they come up against. And to think, Danny, this was just the open qualifier today. All of the performances that have been on show has been incredible, but of course the stakes only get higher and that pool gets even stronger on average as well as this continues, and I cannot wait to see how this one will unfold.
Well, it certainly is, and you know what, here we could sit here and talk a wee bit more here, Pegasus, because you know what, the main event itself here, the Swiss stage round the corner, there is the known factors of the teams, the likes of the Buzzards, the likes of the Falcons, the Nighthawks or their Typhoons, even, you know, the two Royal Navy side here. But, you know, the SE Dragons still around. UBG has a team sitting and waiting. It's a question on who are the sides that have qualified through that we'll be seeing in the Swiss stage.
And of course, this is one of those tournaments that is going to reward that consistency with points building up to earn that qualification to the big LAN main event down in September. But for now, we've got to settle on the results that are at hand. And there hasn't been, I would say, too many shocks in terms of the qualifications that have come out of this group stage. Starting off with Group A, it is exactly as you'd expect. You've got the Storm Shadows, followed by the Merlins, then the Harriers, the Serpents, Jackdaws, and the Hammerheads is well to follow. But what I find extremely impressive, it's the full 15 points coming from the Storm Shadows. The Merlins were supposed to be their biggest challenge, and well, Danny, as close as Game 1 was, Game 2, that's a completely different story.
And you know what, as you know, credit to Psycho, because he had to start waiting and ready, and I'll give him the full respect for having this on standby. Hasn't dropped the game twice in the open qualifiers. And you know what here, you know, the original RAF Storm Shadows from last season was like that on a few of their qualifiers too. The likes of Boost Over Ball, Resurgent, Omnia, some of the big names of last season. Well, the new kids on the block are doing it too, so you can't sit here and call them the second and third best team, although some might disagree, of course.
Well, we'll have to see how those conversations, of course, unfold for the rest of the season. But on the opposite side, got some more RAF teams to look at, the likes of the Mustangs taking that top spot with 3-1, 0 loss. Kestrels follow with the exact same record, it's just that game differential which has gone against them. And that is the Sparrowhawks to round off with another British Army team making sure to qualify. And of course, the Lussy Phantoms, the Scottish roster, the base roster, continuing to prove their mettle as well.
Plenty of those sort of lineups you'd be looking at and you'd be going, do you know what, it could be the case of it. There is a potential maybe for that Group A for the Royal Navy side to lose out a spot because the results still trying to come in here. But again, there's plenty of action still ongoing as the groups is nearly rounding up here. But Pegasus, at least in terms of us here on the broadcast this evening, that's us done here. And you know what, I'll do something that Affinity normally does if she was host here. What's been the best moment of the evening?
Oh, best. I mean, I might be a little bit recency biased here, but I like the 2v3. I really do. We did have, of course, a game 3 in that 4th round, but nothing beats being completely outnumbered and still finding a way through that adversity as well, whilst using a sub, of course, in quotations, when it is the Storm Shadows. That is an unbelievable result to round off the night.
Sounds absolutely fantastic as well, but unfortunately, that is us done here on the broadcast, at least for the open qualifier. We do have the Swiss stage and the main event in terms of the top 6 still all of course happening, and we do it again for qualifier 3 and 4. We're only at the halfway stage here, but that does mean have your clock ready, 7 p.m. tomorrow, to see who, of course, from the top 16 gets whittled down here. But from everybody here from BFBS, we hope you had a fantastic evening. We'll see you tomorrow.